Hajj is an obligation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made an obligation upon those who can afford it and have got the physical ability to go and make Hajj. Right? So these pre-details, I'm not going to go too deep into them, but I will touch upon them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed Ibrahim and Ismail alayhi salam to build the Kaaba, and then Allah said, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ. Allah said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, call out for the Hajj, and people will come to you rijalan, on their feet, right, walking, وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ. And others will come on their mounts, on their animals, on their planes, ships, wherever. They will take means of reaching there. Now the scholars have said, why did Allah say to Ibrahim alayhi salam, you call out for Hajj and they will come to you on their feet? Why did he say that before speaking about animals and mounts and ships and planes or whatever? To show the immediacy of the reply of the people who hear the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam. It's so immediate, that their reply is so immediate to when Ibrahim alayhi salam called, that they just set out on their feet to reach Makkah al-Mukarramah and perform that Hajj. Right? So that has a real deep meaning inside of it, how our response to Allah's call of Hajj should be. It shouldn't be a delayed response, it should be an immediate response, such that we set out on our feet, even if we don't have a mount, to reach Makkah al-Mukarramah and fulfill that obligation. It's an enormous obligation. It's one of the pillars of Islam. It's one of the most beautiful pillars of Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ, he performed one Hajj in his lifetime. And the reason behind that is so that the poor of his ummah, who would only be able to perform it once, don't feel left out if he had performed it more than once, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number one. And number two, another reason why he only performed it once is to indicate its greatness, right? Because something that you repeat again and again and again, sometimes you might lose that greatness of it, but something that's just once in a lifetime, it's like, wow, right? So that's another reason. And then the Prophet ﷺ's Hajj was right at the end of his blessed life, not in the early years of revelation and legislation, but rather right towards the end, to have it at the end, to indicate a beautiful ending to the life upon this earth and moving over to the next world. And the Prophet ﷺ also set some very strong threats against those who don't perform Hajj when they are able to, right? So we have to be very cautious that if we can afford it, then we should try our utmost best to go and make that Hajj. You know, one of the stories I tell people is that when you're there at the money exchange, right, you should be observant of everything. When you're there at the money exchange, you'll see that you'll have like a small wad of pounds, and the guy from behind the counter will give you a massive wad of riyals, right? Whereas you'll see somebody from Pakistan, somebody from Africa, who have a massive wad of their currency and get a small wad of riyals in return. One of my friends, he saw this scene and he went up to one elderly man, a very old man, probably in his 70s or 80s, who had come from Pakistan. And he went over to him and he felt pity and he pulled out some money from his pocket and he said, "Uncle, this is for you." Right? You know what the old man said? He said, "Son, I don't want to spoil it now. I've been saving all my life just to get here. I don't want to spoil it now. I don't want to take this from you." What does that show? That shows how great Hajj is in the hearts of people, right? And especially in the hearts of people who don't have much wealth of reaching there. Whereas when you do have the wealth, you think, "Oh, I'll do it next year." It doesn't make much of a difference. But what we don't have in our hands is our life. Life might expire, and that next year might never ever come, right? So Hajj is one of the pillars of Islam that we must try to fulfill as quick as possible, as soon as we have the means. Not only for that reason, but also for the reason that Hajj is an extremely amazing experience. It's an amazing life experience that really changes people's lives and people's perspectives of this world and their existence and their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their relationship with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and so on and so forth. So once you've decided that you're making Hajj this year, and you've booked your Hajj and everything, then the preparation that you should perform right before Hajj. If I miss anything out, remind me. Is that okay? Because these are kind of long lectures, so sometimes you might forget things here and there. So before leaving from home, what should we be doing, right? And this is a beautiful practice that our elders had, and I hope we still have. And that is that before people would go out for Hajj, they would go and visit all of their relatives and family members. Right? They wouldn't wait on for people to come and see them and farewell them. They would go out of their way to farewell people. One of the reasons behind that was they never knew if they'd come back from Hajj. It'd take them 6 months getting to Makkah. They'd go on ships, they would walk on their camels and so on. It was a difficult journey that people would make to Hajj 50, 60, 70 years ago. Now, even though it's become easier, but still this is a tradition that we should not break away from, and that is visiting our relatives and making up with those who we have broken up from or they have broken off from us. Doesn't matter which way it was. Whether you broke off from a relative or a friend or a family member, or they broke off from you, just go and meet them. You don't know if you're going to return from this Hajj. And number two, you're going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's house, you're performing this enormous obligation. You don't want to go before Allah whilst you still have grudges in your hearts against people, right? Because if we can't let go of our grudges, how do we expect Allah to forgive us? And that's what Allah says in the Quran. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he used to spend from his own wealth on one of his relatives, and that relative said something about his daughter Sayyida Aisha radiyallahu anha, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, I'm never going to give this man ever again. Never going to spend my wealth on this man ever again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately sent a verse of the Quran saying that it doesn't befit you to say such. Don't you wish that Allah forgives you? And if you wish for Allah to forgive you, the first and foremost thing is that we become forgiving people, that we start to forgive our relatives and our friends and colleagues and so on, and break away from these grudges. So that's very important, that we go around visiting uncles, aunts, nephews, relatives, neighbors that we used to live with, whoever you can. Because Hajj is it's an amazing experience. I was watching a video by one of my teachers who said that 60 years ago, when we used to travel from, and he's a resident in Mecca, he said when we used to travel from Mecca to Madinatul Munawwara, we used to go out in an enormous caravan. And all of the people of Mecca used to bid out us farewell when we used to go to Medina. Now going to Medina from Mecca is a 5-hour journey in an air-conditioned place. It's very simple. So 60 years ago, the Meccans wouldn't go to Medina every so often. It'd probably be once a year that they'd go to Medina, because it'd be a very tiring journey. So when the caravan would leave from Mecca, all of the Meccans would come out and bid them farewell. And I saw this in Damascus too. In the Ottoman Empire, they built a masjid in Damascus called At-Taqiyya al-Sulaymaniya. At-Taqiyya al-Sulaymaniya was the point from where all of the Hajis of the lands of Sham would gather, and the people of Damascus would bid them farewell from there. Right? So it's a momentous occasion, leaving out for Hajj. And we have to keep this going in our hearts and in our families, in our traditions, this momentum. Now people go for Hajj and come back, nobody hears about it. People have been to Umrah and come back, nobody hears about it. Where's that momentum gone? We have to bring that back within our families and within our communities. So if they broke enough from you, go and meet them. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, connect to those who break off from you. You see his weddings? He didn't say connect with those who connect with you. He said connect with those who sever their ties from you, who break away from you, go and connect with them. Because that's where the challenge is. And he said give to those who deprive you. Right? And this takes a lot of courage. This takes a lot of bravery, inner and inner courage. that you can go to somebody's house, knock their door and say, I'm sorry. Right? Because if we can say sorry, then we should expect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive us. And that's something great. Right? So before going, visit your friends, relatives, family members, especially those who broke off from you or you broke off from them. Never mind. Life carries on. You know, one day we'll all die, none of this will have any meaning except those who will reach Allah with sound hearts. Allah said, إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Who will be the successful ones on the Day of Judgment? Those who come before Allah بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Sound hearts. No grudges, no hatred. Standing before Allah, they'll be accepted. So, before you leave out, you know, we've only got like 12, well, there's like a couple of weeks left. If that, some people are going before, some are going after. The days of Hajj are coming close very quickly. You know, start going around to your relatives and families and giving them salam and farewells and so on, and tell them that you're going for Hajj, and ask them, say, if I've done anything wrong to you, please forgive me, and I've forgiven all of you. It doesn't take too much, but it takes a lot of courage. Right? Become that brave person and go and do it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. Number two, if you've got debts with people, right, and this goes for any type of traveling, whether you're going to your homeland or you're going for Hajj, any type of traveling, that before you travel out from your city or your country, that you go around to those people who you've taken money from, that you've got, you know, they've given you a loan, you've borrowed money off them, go to them and say, look, I'm traveling out, I can pay X amount now, and if they accept it, that's right. And then, you know, ask them their permission, do you allow me to go and perform my Hajj? Right? Because they've got a greater right over you. If that person says, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. You know, when you get back from Hajj, you know, we'll sort it out. That's fine. Or if you have, for example, a debt that you pay back in installments and they've been agreed upon, right? Then that can just carry on as per normal. That can carry on as per normal. But it's always good to let those people who gave you that money, to let them know that you're going out for Hajj or for any other travel, and to get that settled, because nobody knows whether we're going to come back tomorrow or not. This is why the scholars have said we should have our will written under our pillows before we sleep. Every night, our will should be written under our pillow before we sleep. Why? Because nobody knows who's going to wake up in the morning. Right? What if you might say, I haven't taken any money from anybody, nobody owes me anything. What shall I write in my will? Then the scholars have said, you should write in your will, dear family, after I die, fear Allah in me. Dear family, after I die, fear Allah in me. What does that mean? That means don't wail, don't scream, don't rip your clothes apart, don't do those acts of jahiliyyah, number one. And number two, wash me, shroud me, bury me, and then distribute my inheritance. Right? That's the least a person can write. But if you've got debts, then you should write, I owe so-and-so X amount, I owe so-and-so X amount, because you might have debts that not even your family members, your spouse doesn't even know of, right? But once you're dead, that person might come to your family and say, oh, he's got to pay out this much, she's got to pay out that much. They'll say, we don't know about it, right? And you don't want to get caught up in the next life with a debt that your families didn't know about, and they could have paid up, but they didn't because you didn't have them, right? So always get that written. That's true. Then, number three, for preparation of Hajj, we must become intelligent travelers. We must become intelligent travelers. I didn't say Hajjis, I said travelers. The reason being is because I went with a group to Masjid al-Aqsa, right, Jerusalem. And on the second day, people were saying to me, Sheikh, where shall we go? What shall we do? I'm like, do you guys kind of buy a map of Jerusalem and buy those travel books to know, you know, what this place is? And like, no. So I had to kind of lead them along like primary school teacher, you know, single file, straighten up. And believe it or not, one of the times I was in Umrah in Makkah Sharif, yeah, we done our first Umrah, and somebody came up to me and said, Sheikh, what shall we do now? I said like, you're kidding me. Seriously, that's the question somebody had. What shall we do now? You're in Makkah Sharif, you're in front of the Kaaba, you're in Masjid al-Haram. What shall we do? Go do shopping. Why did you come for? We have to become intelligent travelers. You must read up on Hajj. You must read up on Makkah al-Mukarramah. You must read up on Madinah al-Munawwarah. If you can't read, don't worry about it. You must start listening to YouTube clips of reliable scholars who speak about Makkah, speak about Medina, teach you all about Hajj, right? And I believe all of you are intelligent travelers. This is why you've turned up today. Is that okay? This is why you've all turned up today, because you're intelligent travelers. But this is not good enough. I'm going to stress this. This is not good enough. This is, I've ticked one box. The next box is, you need to be reading up yourself. Look, I bought my Hajj book, right? And I studied with scholars for many years, and I studied this chapter of Hajj so many times with so many scholars, but guess what? I still bought my Hajj book. And I was reading on the way here, and I was reading at home. Why? Because the scholars have said, حَيَاةُ الْعِلْمِ تَكْرَارُهُ. The life of knowledge is, it's repetition. If you don't repeat it again and again, you're going to forget it. Even if you're a scholar, even if you're a student, you will forget, right? So, read up on Hajj. Read up about the history of Makkah, the history of Medina, and all of these things. You have to know everything about over there before you get there. That's very, very important. And especially about the rites and the rituals of Hajj. That's very important. Is that okay? That's point number 3. Now, let's move in to Hajj. So, you have enough wealth, you have a good health to perform Hajj, you've met your families, you've forgiven who you have to forgive, you've been to those who you took money from, spoke to them about it, you've read up about Hajj. Now your big day has come, right? Am I supposed to speak about what they're supposed to pack? No. Okay. Nadim. Wasim, sorry. Wasim's going to speak about what you're going to pack, right? Remember the school teachers used to give us the packing list before you went at camping, yeah? So he's going to do that. He's going to give you things to bring along. That's done. Before you leave your home, what should you do? Pray 2 raka'at, nafal, in your house. You know why? They will be a means of protection for your family. They will be a means of protection for your family. People should do that in their houses. I remember when I was quite young, people used to do that in the local masjid. All of the Hajjis used to get together in the local masjid and pray their 2 nafal in the local masjid and then set out for Hajj. You should also do it in your own house. Before you leave out from your house, you should make du'as of acceptance, of ease, make du'as of the journey du'as of Subhanalladhi sakhara lana, and you make very sincere du'as before you leave your house. And say to Allah, oh Allah, I'm leaving my house behind to go to your house. Right? I'm leaving the comfort of my house to go to your house. And in your house, you're going to be my host. Right? And if Allah is your host, have you got anything to worry about? Right? When we go and visit each other, we have some hidden expectations in our hearts. And our hosts always are generous. So if I come to your house, of course, you're going to go into the kitchen and see what you've got in your fridges and in your cupboards and present it. And that's your generosity, that's your kindness. We don't know what Allah has stored away in His treasures, right? So when we go to the house of Allah, we should have big expectations, right? Big expectations. One of my teachers in Damascus, he was a big, giant man physically. Like, he was big. He was probably 7 foot or something, right? And he had a massive body. Somebody came to him one day and said, Sayyidi indi huwayja. He said, teacher, I've got a small little need. I've got a small little need. You know what the sheikh said? He said, go and find a small little man for it. He said, when you have a big need, come back to me. Right? He was trying to teach him, when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask him for big things. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ told us. He said, Salullah al-firdaus al-a'la. Ask Allah for the highest abode of Jannah. Do you know why? Because He can give it to you. Some people say, oh Allah, just let me into the door of Jannah and I'll be happy. And that person doesn't know who they're asking. They don't know that they're asking Allah who can give them the highest abode of Jannah. So before you leave your house, pray 2 raka'at, nafal, make du'as for your travels, and make sure you've got your passport and your suitcases and your belongings with you, and then set off. Right? Throughout this journey, what should you be doing? Right? Personal advice, cut down on your mobile phones, your WhatsApps, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Snapchats, your, what else is it? Instagrams, right? All of that, leave it to home, cut down on it. Some people will need to use those apps to contact their families, etc. But make it an app, engrave this in your mind that I'm going to make it an absolute necessity, an absolute minimum. Last year I was in Hajj, we were in Aziziyah, and in the hotel that I was, there was no Wi-Fi, and one of the Alisab says to me, he says, "Inai dasso roti na diyo, Wi-Fi diyo." He said, forget the roti, yeah, we want Wi-Fi. I was like, yo. That's the world that we live in, right? So you have to decide it for yourself. You want to go to Makkah and just be on your phone and be Wi-Fi, that's fine, right? But you want to go to Makkah and come back with what Allah gives you, then you have to leave these things behind. Make an absolute minimum. So you've left your house, you've prayed your 2 rak'at, you've met your family, you're setting out. What should you be doing on your travels? From Nottingham or wherever you're traveling from to the airport, on the plane, what should you be doing? You're making a journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And the one who makes a journey to the king must be in remembrance of the king before they arrive at the door. Make mention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constant. Decide in your mind, that's it. I'm going to have a tasbih in my hand, I'm going to be 10,000 la ilaha illallahs, 10,000 subhanallahs, 10,000 durood sharifs. I'm going to have a copy of the Quran in my hand, and from here to Makkah Sharif, I'm going to get 10 spare done, 10 juz done. Right? Decide this in your minds. Right? And it'll happen, believe me. One of my friends went for Umrah last year and he said, Aslam, what shall I do in Medina Sharif? I said to him, recite the whole Quran in Medina, and when you get to Makkah, recite the whole Quran in Makkah. He got back and he said to me, I've never read that much Quran in my whole life. He said, I hadn't finished the Quran a second time since I was a child. He said, I took your advice and I sat in Medina Sharif and all I did was recite Quran. He said it was hard for me, but I got it done. In the days that I was there, I finished the whole Quran in Medina. Right? So this is a journey of dhikr, a journey of remembrance, a journey where we're drawing close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and cutting off our attachments with people and lessening them as much as possible. Lessening them. So on your journey, make dhikr. Throughout your journey, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the great scholars, Ibn Ata'illah, he said something really amazing. He said, if you reached an age in life where you feel that you've missed out on so many good actions throughout your life, then you should catch up now with making those types of dhikrs that encompass a lot of reward. And then he mentions them. He said, like saying Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim, like saying La ilaha illallah, and like sending durood sharif and salawat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, these three are types of dhikr. that, even if you've missed out so much in your lifetime that's gone, you'll catch up by making these in abundance, right? So make your dhikrs, right? Be constant in remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout this journey. And guess what? Tire yourself in remembering Allah. Make yourself really tired, right? Tire yourself. You know why? The Sahaba in the days of Hajj, and then we're going to speak about that later, I'm just going to mention it here. The Sahaba in the days of Hajj, they were screaming labbaik to the top of their voices so much that by the end of those 3 or 4 days, they lost their voices. That's how intensely they were calling upon Allah. Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. They lost their voices. Right? So it's a very intense journey of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have to remember the rewards of it. That if you make your journey correct from the beginning, you're going to come back home كَيَوْمَ وَلَدَتْهُ أُمُّهُ, like the day that your mother gave you birth, clean. You're going to return back home, no sins on your slate. So hence we have to put in all of those efforts, right? We have to tire ourselves for the sake of Allah, right? Then you reach Jeddah airport, right? When you get to Jeddah airport, just relax, chill out, right? If there's a queue of 1,000 people, just take a chill pill and say, I'm just gonna relax. You know why? Because at the end of the day, if not today, tomorrow, you will get to Makkah Sharif. It might take you 1 day, it might take you 2 days, right? That's the lesson of patience. Just relax, right? That's what I tell people. We went to Masjid al-Aqsa, and when you get to Tel Aviv, the Israeli airport, right? I tell people, just relax. Alhamdulillah, the people, they relaxed. We were there relaxing for 6-7 hours. All we were doing was sitting around, gup-shop, people chatting. Nobody was worried about what they were doing with our passports, because you have to just chill out. You'll see people pushing, shoving, getting in front of the queue. Say to them, Bismillah, come ahead. Don't worry about it. You know why? Because you're not doing it for people, you're doing it for Allah. And Allah is watching, right? So just chill out. Don't push, don't shove. If people want to get in front of you, say Bismillah, go on, right? Why? Because Allah says, Al-Hajj ashhurun ma'lumat. The months of Hajj are known. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ. Those upon whom Hajj becomes an obligation, فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Those upon whom Hajj becomes an obligation, then they should not speak ill and foul, and they should not behave ill or foul, right? They must behave like very dignified human beings. Even if they get pushed and shoved around, don't worry about it. Say, brother, Bismillah, come on. I'll let you go. So when you get to the airport, just relax, right? What I see is people are agitated in the airport because obviously it's hot, isn't it? And I don't know if the ACs are going to be working this time around or not. Right? Because, right? Once I was coming from Medina Sharif to Makkah Sharif, and when you come from Medina Sharif, you stop at a place called Abar Ali. There's a masjid where the walls of Sayyidina Ali used to be, and that's where you put your ihram on from. And I was thinking, the Prophet ﷺ and the companions put on their ihram from Abar Ali and then continued their journey, some walking, some on their camels, some on their horses. In a state of ihram, it perhaps took them up to 10 days getting to Makkah, and they were in a state of ihram, which meant they can't use soap, they can't use perfume. 10 days not using perfume. They can't rub themselves too intensely, they can't break off a hair, they can't clip a nail. And they went through that for 10 days. And some people get to Jeddah airport and can't get through that for 10 minutes. Right? So just chill out. Look at how the Prophet ﷺ made Hajj. Right? So when you get to Jeddah airport, you might be lucky and you'll get through straight away. Alhamdulillah. You might be lucky and you might be waiting in a queue of other Hajjis. Say Alhamdulillah. When you get out, you pick up your luggage, You jump onto the bus, and then the journey from Jeddah to Makkah Sharif could take 10 hours. Not because the road is that long, but because your coach has to go and stop in a camp called Hajj camp, right? And in Hajj camp, what happens is you stay on your coach, it's air conditioned, they'll give you a box of snacks, right? Relax, make your dhikr or go to sleep, right? And you have to prepare paperwork for the millions of Hajjis that have come, and you can't blame them for it, right? And one of the things that I noticed in Hajj is things are very well organized. You have to give it to them. Right? So I believe that everybody in this Hajj group is going on a transit, which means the plane's going to stop in some country and then lift off again to get to Jeddah. All of us, inshallah, will be putting on our ihram from that country that we stopped in. Is that okay? So make sure your ihram for men is in your hand luggage. Right? For ladies, they'll have it on, but the men who wear the two chadars, the two cloths, right, upper and lower, make sure that's in your hand luggage. When we get off at this particular country, then we're going to be told by the group leaders, the two brothers, that now go and perform your wudu's and put on your ihrams. Right? Before you put on your ihram, if you want to use perfume on your body, or some deodorant, or some atar, that's fine. On your body, not on the ihram cloth. Right? Clip your nails beforehand. If you want to trim your moustache, do it beforehand, before you ihram. Right? And remove all other hairs. Then you put on your ihram. The lower garment and then upper garment. Right? Once you've done that, you're still not in a state of ihram. You will only become in a state of ihram when you make your intention, your niyyah. Right? Now, where do you make the intention, on the plane or at the airport? Okay. So once you put your ihram on, then you make your intention by saying, right, before that, I believe everybody is making Hajj tamattu. There's 3 types of Hajj. Right? Hajj tamattu is the easiest for those who are coming from outside of Makkah into Makkah. That's the easiest. Right? But if you're not doing Hajj, is anybody not doing Hajj tamattu? What are you doing? Qarin. You're doing Qiran. Okay. So other than Qiran, tamattu, Hajj tamattu. So all of the rest of us, we must know the name of our Hajj type. Right? Our Hajj type is tamattu. What does tamattu mean? Tamattu means when you combine, when you perform Umrah first, and then come out of Umrah, and then later